Welcome everybody to this 30-minute webinar, an introduction to Embodia for vestibular rehab pros. My name is Maggie Bergeron, and I'm a PT, a physiotherapist, and one of the co-founders of Embodia. I'm going to take you through this webinar this evening, and you're welcome to ask your questions at any time. You can put them in the chat or the Q&A, and I'll answer them as I go. So I'm going to keep an eye on both the chat and the Q&A. And I'll answer questions as I see them come up. I'm going to also ask you a question first, which is just simply, what's your profession? So you can let me know here in this poll that will have popped up on your screen. And I'll leave it up for a few seconds so you can just quickly pop in, which is your profession? It looks like mostly PTs. Which is great. And then I have one other question. Which is just, how familiar are you with Embodia? Very familiar, familiar, neutral, not familiar, or you're brand new. And this will help guide today's session. Lots of very familiar, which is fantastic. If you are very familiar with the platform and you have specific questions, then please let me know. So I'm happy to go through some of the more nitty-gritty details with you in this webinar. I am going to start with a broad overview, and then we'll get into some of the details and specifics for vestibular professionals. But if you also have other questions, then I'm happy to go through those with you too. Okay. Wonderful. Thanks for sharing. So again, my name is Maggie. I'm a registered physiotherapist in Ontario, Canada, and I graduated from McMaster University in 2009 after doing my undergrad at the University of Ottawa, where I also played on the women's water polo team. I am one of the co-founders of Embodia, and I do continue to see a small caseload of patients virtually, and I hold a status-only appointment with the U of T PT department. So what we're going to go over is just a brief introduction to Embodia. We're going to look at exercises in education, both how it functions as well as vestibular content. We'll talk about resource packages and vestibular content on Embodia Academy, which is the place where we host all of our online courses. There's more than 1,000, well over 1,000 online courses, and we have many across vestibular and neuro, as well as concussion. We'll talk about messaging and patient tracking. We'll look at questionnaires as well as diaries, and then scheduling, online booking, billing, and the patient experience. So what is Embodia? We're an all-in-one platform. We offer everything from online continuing education, which we do through on-demand online courses and live online webinars. We have a complete practice management and EMR system. So that's for things like charting, scheduling, billing, online booking. We have telerehabilitation, so you can offer virtual sessions through Embodia, and we also offer integrations with Zoom for Healthcare and Google Meets. So there's many ways that you can actually host virtual sessions on Embodia, and you can also host classes. So if you wanted to teach classes, there's also that kind of feature and functionality. We have outcome measures and questionnaires, which you can also automate and are digital, which includes scoring. We have a home exercise component on Embodia, as well as patient education. We have bladder diaries and custom diaries, which you can build your own kind of diary, and I'll show you one example of that today. And the other thing that's not mentioned here relates to billing. So we have lots of billing functionality as well as online booking. With billing, you can offer packages and memberships. And we also offer an option to host your own courses and sell them to patients or the general public. So a few themes. Embodia is very customizable and flexible. We do offer templates and kind of preset options, which you can use. You can also edit our templates, and you can build your own. And if you use Embodia currently, then you may know that we build features based on request, and we're pretty quick to respond to support emails. Because we're an all-in-one platform, we have 3 membership options. So we know that not all clinics or clinicians are going to use Embodia for all of the reasons or all the features and functionality. So you can kind of choose your own adventure here. We have our practice management subscription, which is $45 per month per practitioner. And it includes everything, basically everything on Embodia. So you get everything that you need to run your practice. Then if you take a step down, we have our patient engagement option, which is $25 per month. It includes everything that you need to prescribe exercises, as well as questionnaires, two-way messaging, and tele-rehab. And then we have education, where you can get a library of free courses and discounts on premium courses. I had mentioned previously that we have an option to host your own courses on Embodia. This is called a Clinic Academy. So if you were looking to build your own courses for patients or the general public and sell them or provide them for free or provide them in a membership, you can do that through something called a Clinic Academy. I'm not going to go through this in much detail today, but if you have questions, you can reach out and we can discuss it further if you're interested in learning more. And we have some resources that explain it further. We also have something called a private academy, which is for larger organizations, big clinics, universities, hospitals that are interested in hosting their own internal team training for their staff or for their members. We also have other companies that use this for their own members. If they're looking to train folks, then you can basically use it as a way to host your own courses and track progress and other kinds of metrics. So now we're going to walk through how Embodia works for vestibular professionals and their patients. And I did see a question pop up here, which I'm going to answer here. How many people join? I'm not sure what you mean, Hassan. If you could clarify, that would be helpful. How many people join virtual training sessions? I'm not sure what you mean. So maybe you can type in a clarification there. I'm going to sign into Embodia, and we're going to sign in as a practitioner. On our sign-in page, there's a practitioner sign-in, a patient sign-in, and clinic admin sign-in. Clinic admins are free if you're using Embodia with a tier 2 or 3 membership. So that's for practice management or patient engagement. And clinic admins can manage certain things on your behalf, and you can set their permissions. So there's lots of options there. Patients use Embodia free, and there's a sign-in page here. There is also a mobile app that can be downloaded from the Apple Store and Google Play Store. And that's free to use for patients and practitioners. But again, those that are using our tier 2 or 3 memberships. I'm going to go ahead and sign in as a practitioner. Go. Okay, so from this main dashboard, we can see my courses that I'm currently taking. But I'm going to draw your attention to the top here, which is the main navigation bar, which you will find on your Embodia account. If you have an account, it may look a little bit different depending on the membership type that you have or how you're using Embodia. Everyone will have education. So this is the education library for healthcare professionals. Under Embodia Academy, you're going to find all of our online continuing education courses. Webinars or live webinars, that's how you would have signed up for the session tonight. We also have a blog if you're interested in some free resources, and we maintain your professional portfolio for you. So if you take courses with us, you're going to have a summary of all of the courses that you've taken. And there's also an option to download this so that if you needed it for any professional reasons, then you have it on hand. My Clinic is available if you have a clinic account on Embodia, and it's particularly important if you're using our practice management system, and it's how you set up a lot of things like your services and your online booking and your billing. Okay, billing is relating to your billing, so it's all your patient billing. Charting, all of your charts. Consults is everything related to your consults. HEP is everything related to exercise prescription. And My Patients is where all of your patients would live on Embodia. In the top right-hand corner here, you're also going to see the calendar view. We can see that I'm under demo clinic. So this is my clinic name here. And there's this little icon here, which will be on your account, and you can click on it to go to things like your settings, your membership. So if you wanted to see what kind of membership you had, or if you wanted to sign up for a membership, you could head over here. Your receipts will also be here. And if you wanted to set up two-factor authentication, you can do so as well. Under My Settings, you'll find a variety of settings. This includes things like your license. So if you wanted your license to appear on your certificates of completion on Embodia, you can choose to do so. And we're also building out lots of CEU options, so continuing education units on our courses. So if you practice in a particular area, like if you're a PT in Alaska, you may want to indicate that so that then the appropriate information is displayed on your certificates of completion for CEUs. There's a variety of other settings here. I'm not going to go through them in detail right now, but just know that they're here and you can come in and turn things on and off. One important thing to note is that your messaging and your notification, if you're using the exercise programs on Embodia, this is important. Messaging by default comes turned off. We don't want to assume that practitioners want to be messaged by their patients. So by default, this is off. But if you do want to use our messaging feature, you need to come in here and turn it on, check it off. And then you can also choose to receive certain notifications from patients, such as new messages, or if your patient's programs are expiring. Just make sure to click Update My Settings at the bottom, and then you'll get a little pop-up notice saying that your settings have been updated. Okay, so now we're going to move along to the exercise library. Under HEP and exercises, we're going to find a library of exercises that can be prescribed to patients. Our library is video-based, so everything that you find in our library is going to be video-based. There are print-friendly versions, and when you prescribe a program, then you can kind of send that off as a PDF to your patient as well. Any of these are clickable, so each exercise can be clicked and it'll be pulled up as a video. But you can also use the search bar. So we're talking about vestibular content, so I'm going to search for vestibular, and it's going to pull up a wide range of content. One important thing to note right away is not just the title of the exercise, you also have a thumbnail, but who the exercise is by. So Embodia Teams means Embodia. But because we also have quite a wide range of instructors who work with us, you're going to find content from other instructors, such as Cheryl, who works in vestibular. I'm just going to clear that search there. So we're going to pull up all of Cheryl's content, who is a vestibular PT. And if we pull up one of her videos, could play the video. I'm not going to play the full thing. If you wanted to see the full video or a sample
This
later,
video will show you how to complete the right epi treatment for crystal.
Then you can always ask, and we can direct you as to where to watch these videos of specific exercises. There is quite a range of vestibular content, as well as concussion content, neuro content, and seniors health content on Embodia that can be prescribed to patients. When prescribing, you would use the add button. So we would add it to somebody's program. Probably, I'm assuming many people here are vestibular therapists, and we're probably wouldn't be adding these 3 exercises into one person's program. So we'll go and we'll remove them and set up a program appropriately. I should say that I'm not a vestibular therapist, so just bear with me if I get a few things wrong here. When we click on this icon up at the top, it's showing 6, and it's because there's 6 exercises in this program. And before we send it off to a patient, these, okay, remove that one. We can delete, as you saw I was doing there. So we can delete exercises, and then we're going to set instructions for the exercises. When we set instructions, we can set instructions for an individual exercise, or we can set instructions by clicking this button for all exercises that are missing instructions. Okay, so I'll set them both. When we set instructions for an exercise, we give you lots of options. The options include daily frequency. So how many times per day do you want a patient to complete this exercise? Once per day means that it's going to show up in their program once per day. It also means that if they're using the app, they're going to receive one notification reminding them to do the exercise. If you set it for 3 times in the day, they're going to receive 3 notifications reminding them to do the exercise 3 times in the day. They're also going to have the opportunity to track that they've done the exercise for whatever frequency you've set here. You can also choose duration. So how long do you want this to stay active in their program? 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 days, or maybe 3 weeks, let's say. What days of the week are they completing this exercise? And you'll notice that it says down here, the days will be disregarded for freestyle programs. So if you want to send a program to a patient where you don't specify the days of the week and you don't specify the daily frequency, you can do that as well. It's just called a freestyle program, which we'll see in a moment. So that is also an option, again, feeding into this idea of flexibility on Embodia to fully support your practice. You can also choose to set the number of sets and reps, which if it's not appropriate, you can just leave it blank. You can set a hold for an exercise in seconds, minutes, or breaths. You can set a resistance, and you can add additional notes. I might get this wrong again. I'm not a vestibular therapist, but you can add additional notes for your patient. And then we'll send it off to our patient. I'm going to send it to Jane Doe. If this patient already has an existing program, you can add it. She has 2 programs. We'll add it to an existing program, or you could create a new program. When you create a new program, you can choose to allow the patient to track their symptoms using the visual analog scale or not. You can also allow your colleagues to modify a program. So if you're working in a clinic and there's colleagues working with you, you can choose to allow them to modify it or not. And then you can make the program a freestyle program. So this is what I had mentioned earlier, where you can choose to remove which days of the week they're doing the exercise and add the daily frequency. We'll leave these checked off though, and I'm going to add this to an existing program. Even when you schedule the exercise program, you can still come back and modify it for the patient at any time. Modifying it means changing the program name. So we can give this a name like vestibular program. And we can come in and edit any of the existing programs or the exercises. We can see child's pose was already in here. We can come in and edit, and we can edit the ones that we've sent to them just now together. Down below, we can see if the patient has tracked anything, including their symptom levels, and if they've taken any notes. The notes are also important for tracking, and you can see there's a little reply button here, so you can easily reply to a patient if they've taken notes using the two-way messaging feature. Going back into the exercise program here, so something that's important to note is that on Embodia, there's several ways to create your own content. So if you wanted to create your own content, there's really 2 ways to do that. One is by using this upload button here. So when you upload content, you can do so by giving it a title. If you're connected to a clinic on Embodia, you can choose to make it available to others in your clinic, or you can make it private to your account. And then when you actually create the exercise, it can be a video, it can be text, or it can be image-based. If you wanted to record your patient doing an exercise, there is an option to do that as well. And that can be done on the mobile app so that you can record your patient and upload it to their program. This is a private and secure way to send patients their specific exercises that they're doing. Similarly, under HEP and education, you can find a library of patient education that you can share with your patients. There's a wide range of vestibular content as well as concussion and neuroscience content that can be shared. Sharing education is much simpler. You just click the share button and you can send it off to the patient. Similar to exercises, you can add notes here as well. So, for example, this is what we discussed today. If you choose to upload your own, you can use the upload button here. And similarly, you're going to give it a title. You can use tags, which is really just for searchability in the education library. So if you wanted to be able to find it different ways, you can use tags. And again, you can choose the privacy setting of your education. You will only see this option if you're connected to a clinic on Embodia. You will see this option if you have an account on Embodia. And we only give certain clinics or clinicians the option to make content available in our public library for both education and exercises, because otherwise it becomes too congested and there's too much content. So we do take our libraries very seriously. If you did want to contribute to either our exercise or education library, you can certainly reach out to us and we can discuss what that looks like. Otherwise, in these libraries, both exercises and education, there's a few things to note. One is the starred feature. So you can always use the stars to make your own favorite library. My education means it's anything that you've uploaded. My clinics is anything that's been uploaded by your colleagues in your clinic. And my courses is anything that's available in the courses that you're taking on Embodia that have patient education. So we're going to go over to Embodia Academy. And when you look at any of the courses that are on Embodia Academy, in the bottom right-hand corner, you're going to notice a few icons. And these are going to indicate what's included in this course. When you hover over it, it's going to tell you a little bit more detail about what that means. So for example, this bike icon means that there's patient exercises in here. We can also click on it. And on the left side, you're going to see what's included. So this course includes 15 minutes of course material, patient exercises, patient education, and templates, and you have lifetime access after purchase. You can also click on the view if you want to see what the exercises or any of the content are, so that you can get a good sense of what's included before you purchase or access it. There are some that are free. So we have lots of courses and resource packages that are also free. For example, the patient resource package, Pain Education for Patients by Carolyn Van Dyken, is actually free. And we have a resource package by Cheryl as well, which is specifically for BPPV, and it's $15. So it's not a very expensive resource package. And she's put a lot of exercises and education in here that you can add to your library on Embodia. Also under HEP, the last part here is templates. Templates are a combination of exercises and or patient education that you can put together to make it really easy and fast to prescribe. We can see some examples here. So for example, lumbar spine flexion responders has 3 exercises and no education. And you can simply prescribe this whole program to a patient by clicking the prescribe button. You can also click the prescribe button from here. Across the top here, you'll see a few tabs, which include my templates. So that means anything that I've built on this account, my clinics, or anything from my colleagues in my clinic. From Embodia is anything that we've built on Embodia. And again, my courses is anything that is available in the courses that you're taking on Embodia. Okay. We're going to move along here to messaging. So I had noted before when we had prescribed a program to Jane, how she had made a note on her program, which we'll go and have a look. All patients on Embodia have a profile, and that includes a summary, and then across the top, there's different sections all related to this patient. If you're in a clinic on Embodia, you can also see that there's a share option so that you can share this profile with a colleague, and then they can collaborate or see that patient as well. Under programs, we're going to go to the vestibular program, which is the one that we had prescribed. And down here, we can see that there was a note which we can reply to. And we could reply to this in a new conversation or existing conversation, all through Embodia. And the messaging feature also works on the mobile app, so really convenient. We can give a subject line. And then this message is sent off to Jane. When there's a response, we're going to see a notification, and we can also get an email notification about new messages from patients. Under questionnaires here, we're going to go to our questionnaires section. We use questionnaires as a broad term to describe anything that a patient would complete. This can include intake forms, outcome measures, screening, satisfaction surveys, anything that you might like to send to a patient, which you can also automate using something called consult settings on Embodia. First, we'll go through what the questionnaires are, though. So questionnaires, there are a bunch of templates, and recently we added a lot of vestibular content. So any of the templates that you see here, you can use. And when you're using templates on Embodia and you add them to your account, you can also modify them. So we'll go down here to intake form vestibular as an example. We can preview what it looks like. And you might already be thinking, oh, I'd make some changes to this. That's no problem. What you would basically do is go down, create a questionnaire from this template. And once you do that, you're going to be able to edit and change anything that you'd like. Okay? So we can see all of the questions, and there's all these edit buttons. So we can edit what this question is and the type of question it is. Did your symptoms begin gradually or suddenly? We can edit the question. We can edit the answers, and we can add additional answers as well. Once you have the questionnaires on your account, then it's a long questionnaire. There you go. Then you're able to send them to patients, which you can easily do from a patient profile. So you can manually send a questionnaire to a patient. Or for those who are very familiar with the platform, you may be familiar with consult settings, which allows you to set up a way to automatically send questionnaires to patients when they booked an appointment. So consult settings can be found under consults and settings, consult settings. And here you're able to add as many settings as you'd like. It also allows you to set up a cancellation policy. You can change the function of automated emails that go out when a patient is booked an appointment. And you can attach questionnaires. So for example, for vestibular assessment, we can see that patient cancellation is not allowed. They can't cancel themselves. We're not skipping any of the booking emails, and there's 3 questionnaires. The questionnaires that are attached are the intake form vestibular, intake form personal information, and these are going out when the consult is scheduled. And this icon just means that it's being skipped if they've previously filled it out. So when you set this up, you can say, if the patient's previously filled this out, don't send it to them again. You can also say, if they have previously filled it out, send it to them again. Or you can even say, if they've previously filled it out within the last year, don't send it to them again. But if it's more than a year, then send it to them. So there's lots of options here. Down here, we can see that after the consult, the Net Promoter Score is going to be sent to the patient, and it'll be completed for every consult. So consult settings are really helpful in terms of setting up a lot of automation for your clinic or for your practice. There is also one type of questionnaire we haven't gone through, which is diaries. So diaries might be quite helpful in terms of tracking. And we have something called diary questionnaires. We have bladder and fiber diaries that are kind of hard-coded into Embodia, but if there's other types of diaries that you'd like somebody to track, so for example, a sleep diary, you can choose to send that to a patient. So you can set up any kind of diary that you'd like and send that out to the patient. I'm not going to send this out because actually this patient already has one that's active right now, which we'll have a look at in a moment. Okay, and just before we look at the patient experience, we're going to set up an appointment for this patient. So we're going to set up an appointment for Jane Doe for tomorrow morning. I'll actually set up a vestibular assessment. When setting up appointments, you can choose to automatically send a consent form. You can choose the type of consult email so that it can include information that you want the patient to receive ahead of time. And then settings are our consult settings. So they're going to receive all those vestibular forms that we had, that we want to go out with vestibular appointments. Okay, so now we can see Jane Doe's booked in here. And we'll go and have a look at the patient experience. So we'll look to see what Jane will see. We're going to go to the patient sign-in page. Sign into her account. So we're signed in here as a patient. We can see at the top that she's been asked to track her symptoms, which again is based on what you've asked for the patient. So everything in this patient account is based on what we've set up for her. There's a bladder diary, and here's a sleep diary that we've set up. So we've asked her to track her sleep. And again, these are all based on what you would like to ask. And for sleep, or for any diary, bladder diary, fiber diary, sleep diary, any other diary you want to set up, there's always going to be a button up here for them to complete their entries. We can see that they have an upcoming appointment. And when we click on this, we can see the information about it. Below, we can see the questionnaires that they've been asked to fill out, including the vestibular intake form. I won't go through and fill this out now because that'll just take too much time. It's an extensive intake form. Okay. And then there's some exercises that they've already been asked to do. So they'll see their exercises and they can track, a patient can track what they've done by just simply checking this checkbox. They can also click on the exercise. If there is instructions, they can read those. They can watch the video.
This video will show you how to complete the right epi treatment for crystals in the right back canal of your inner ear.
Okay. And then they can take notes if you've allowed them to take notes, and they can complete it. In the sidebar, they'll also see additional information, education, for example, which we shared with them. Conversations, which is their messaging. They can respond to you. And again, you'll keep a record for their chart, and it's private and secure and very easy to respond to. And then if you have chosen to host and sell courses on Embodia, they'll also see your courses that they can choose to take. The courses can also include exercise programs if you're trying to automate programs further. So there's a bunch of features that are available in there. I'm going to sign out here. And if there's any questions, let me know in the chat and the Q&A. Otherwise, we're going to close out our session. I know we're just a few minutes over time here. So if there's any last questions, just let me know before we end our session together. Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining. And I will send an email which includes some additional information and some links. Thanks so much for joining me tonight or today, depending on where